Michael and Craig, well, I don't need to introduce where you are. The sign behind you says that. How does the atmosphere feel down there? I know you've only been down since yesterday, but is it starting to feel like a big game?
Right at this particular moment in time, no. The beer barrels have been filled behind us, and we've just been to Tesco. So not rampant, no.
You've got to love the glamour of the Champions League. Me sort of hiding here next to the bins outside Villa Park. It's the glamour of European football for us.
But obviously, you were at Unai Emery's presser today, guys. He certainly has prioritised this as a very big match. He is desperate to get Villa through without going through the playoffs, isn't he?
Yeah, he was certainly speaking, and you mentioned the top 8 more than one occasion. He obviously sees not just the prestige in it, but the possibility to skip 2 games. It's obviously a punishing schedule for them as well. And obviously there's a lot attached to it. We get into that top 8 in terms of finance and that as well. So they've certainly targeted it, and he's spoken about, he was mentioning every game in Europe being special. He talked about the Bayern Munich game. He talked about the first game with young boys and things like that. So they're really into this. I mean, we have to remember this is still new for Aston Villa to be back in this. Obviously, European champions before, but in the new Champions League, they hadn't been there for a while. This is still a massive deal for them to play in these games. So they're right up for this. Right up for it.
Yeah. He's got some injury concerns though, doesn't he?
He's got a few. Obviously, the Tyrone Mings one at the weekend was a bad one for him. John McGinn just coming back, looking a bit dodgy as well, which would be a bit of a blow for them, and for John McGinn as well. He'd love to play in this fixture, wouldn't he? I thought Emery was quite cute today. I thought he was clearly making sure he wasn't going to give Celtic any ammunition. I mean, he spoke really well about Celtic. He kind of danced around the previous games against them. Also, he was the manager at PSG when they put 12 past Celtic in 2 games in the Champions League during Rodgers' first spell. He was also the Spartak, the Moscow manager, when Celtic beat them out in Moscow under Lenny a few years ago. But he kind of glossed over those kind of games. Didn't want to get dragged in that kind of memory lane. And he spoke a lot of kind of respectful tones about Celtic, didn't he? He was kind of dancing around it a wee bit. He seemed like a manager who's desperate not to kind of give Celtic any kind of fuel.
Yeah.
I think he's wary that Celtic are a threat to him. But no, so he's spoken kind of very glowing terms about Celtic.
He does kind of hit things with a straight bat, doesn't he? Unai Emery, he's never really going to give you that kind of flamboyant line or anything like that.
Boring's the word, Keith, isn't it?
That is the word, but
we're dancing around that word, it's slightly boring,
Yeah, okay, I danced around it. What was exactly latest on McGinn then? Because obviously I watched the game at the weekend, and I think he came on for the last 20 minutes. He looked all right.
Yeah, I suspect that I would say there's a good chance the same thing will probably happen again. That probably, my hunch would be that we keep him in reserve again and bring him on later in the game if he was needed.
Right.
Until his minutes up. So he's not been out for a long time. It's not been a long period he's been out. So,
but 5 or 6 games.
He's a captain. I mean, he's such a big player going forward for them. They're not going to take any risks. I wouldn't have thought. I don't think unless he's absolutely 100%. I don't think he'll be banged in from the start. I would be surprised. Why would you risk somebody of that importance?
Yeah, and obviously you've been up here at Lennoxtown today. Jota was training with Celtic, his old teammates for the first time since his move. Celtic look busy again in the transfer market, getting linked with more names now, which I have to tell you, the sort of names that are bad news for the dyslexics among us like myself. But as a Norwegian winger, Sondre Orgesæter, and obviously we've known about the Danish striker Mathias Kvistgaarden for some time. It feels as if they're not done, not by a long shot.
Well, there's going to be more, and there's going to be more names between now and February the 3rd this year? February the 2nd?
Yeah, Monday, yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's going to be more. Celtic are going to be looking right up to the end of this window. They're not going to stop. And I think we've spoken about it in recent days about the fact I think there is some real thought going into the planning ahead of the summer because of the Champions League qualifiers. I think it's very important that Celtic aren't caught short because the experiences of this season, we've spoken about it, the experiences of this season have been so good for Celtic. Those games are the biggest games of the year almost. Coming up in the summer, the qualifiers, however many they've got, they have to get through them. You can't progress in the Champions League if you're not in it. So Celtic want to be ready to go. They don't want to be caught short. And you know what the summer market's like, Keith.
Yeah.
You know the big clubs and the big leagues don't really start doing their business till later on because of back later and things like that.
That's right.
That's all of us to worry about. So you kind of get the feeling Celtic are trying to get their ducks in a row already and be organised and be prepped. So I think there'll be more names and more people being looked at before the end of the window, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, there's even been links with Evan Ferguson, but I think West Ham United looking the driving seat to do a loan deal with Brighton for that one. What do you expect, Michael? Tell me this: Did Unai Emery mention anything about Louis Barry today and Celtic's interest in him?
Not until no. It looks like he's going elsewhere anyway. I think that.
Yeah, he's going to Hull.
Yeah, so I don't think that one got particularly off the ground anyway. The two words tonight, I think we're talking to Ben Rodgers later on tonight. The two words is going to be Kieran Tierney again. I mean, obviously, it looks like Alex Bailly is going to be heading out to Italy, and that's the green light, isn't it? That's
the interesting part. That's a really interesting part that it does look as if Celtic are going to sanction that. Now, I can't see Celtic sanctioning that unless they feel adequately covered.
Well, this is the big one tonight. I think supporters want to hear that this is a goer, and it's a goer for the now rather than for the summer. So that's going to be interesting. I think that's another one that will excite punters, isn't it? It's putting the band back together. They get Jota back, and then they get Tierney. They got Rodgers back as well.
I know. All they need now is Matt O'Reilly and Virgil van Dijk.
That's what I mean. They get £9 million for Rodgers. He comes back for nothing. They get Jota back for $6 million after selling for 25, and Tierney back for nothing after selling 25. It's some bit of business, isn't it?
That's staggering stuff. Right. So in terms back to the game tomorrow night, guys, Villa are sitting in 9th, I think, on 13 points. A win doesn't even guarantee them to leapfrog Leverkusen. I think are above them on 13 points as well. But you kind of feel with Celtic a bit of a feel-good factor about this whole competition. It's almost like a free shot. What are you expecting from the game itself? I think it could be tight.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I think it may be tight as well. I mean, Celtic have shown good grit on the road in the last couple of games. Kept it reasonably tight, managed to get themselves over the line for points. And the Bergamo and Zagreb. Listen, Aston Villa will be strong, they'll be good. And like I say, they have that incentive and that motivation to try and get. Whereas for Celtic, it's mathematically possible. It's pretty much unrealistic. You need so many results.
No, you need snookers.
Yeah, it could even be by the end of the fixtures tonight. It might be that it's not possible. We're not quite sure entirely, what games would have the deciding bearing on it. But Aston Villa is more realistic. So you kind of feel like, I think there'll be a lot of motivation there. Celtic just want to come down, play well and prove a point to people. Listen, Brendan Rodgers doesn't have to prove anything to anybody, but you only need to be down in this country for 5 minutes. The league just gets scoffed at. That's it. The Scottish Premier League gets scoffed at, and that's it. And Rangers have done well against Spurs. They did well against Manchester United last week. And Celtic want to go and strike a blow as well. They'll be well up for it as well. But so I think I'm not sure it'll be open, but I think there'll be chances. I think it'll be a decent game. But I don't think it'll be a kind of. I think Jacob Ramsey touched on it today. He doesn't expect it to be a basketball game. That's not the way Unai Emery sets Aston Villa up, and it's not the way Brendan. They're both possession-based teams, so I don't think it'll be bang, 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 100 miles an hour. But I think there'll be chances.
Yeah, I can.
Big night for likes Adam Ida. I think. Obviously, Kyogo now departed. I think it's a big night for him. He's kind of got to stake that claim that he is. I mean, they're still talking about strikers coming in. I think they will bring a striker in Celtic, but this is a night he's got to go and lead the line. It won't be an easy night, maybe a hard shift, but he's got to go and show that he can be the main man for Celtic. Because now he's got a big chance for him, so he's got to take it.
Dyson Maida's obviously going to be a bad miss as well, isn't he?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Who does he go with in the wing? Does he go with Yang, or does he go a bit more narrow and play Luke McCowan? I think the latter would be a smarter move for this kind of game. But it depends. He might give Yang another shot. Again, someone who's maybe not quite grabbed these opportunities previously. A big night, he gets the nod. But so there's a lot for Celtic to consider. It's a free punch, like you say, though. Quickly,
guys, I've got 30 seconds here. Give me your score predictions, nice and sharp.
1-1.
3-2 Villa, narrow defeat. I think it'll be a basketball match. I don't agree with Jacob.
Never agrees with me.
Right, brilliant, lads. Enjoy it. Cheers, boys.